the operational? Oh, you're charging your phone over there?
Yep. I did put it in just in do not disturb mode.
Okay. You seem to be the thing I'm thinking of. And what I do for you, I just can't say.
I had to kill the stream to be able to get my laptop to actually
Oh, wow.
get into Facebook.
Wow.
Yes, it does struggle a bit.
Dude. Come on. Okay. All right. Share. What?
Oh. You. Oh, hang on. Why am I getting no signal all of a sudden? Am I getting signal over there? Yeah, I'm getting signal over there, so everything looks all right.
Yeah. It's pretty well insulated, this room. Like,
no,
it's hard.
I'm getting nothing through my headphones.
Oh. It might be... You might need to get, like, right up into it.
Or I'm just double hearing it double.
Oh, okay.
So I'll live without them for tonight. Oh, here it is. I was wondering what it was. It's the air conditioning vent.
Yeah. In shooting the breeze. In publicly shooting the breeze.
Emphatically.
In publicly. Emphatically. All right. So we'll be interactive with the chat at all? Or just having a chat?
We can. I'll actually grab my phone for that purpose. Let's have a look here. See if we can see myself on my own YouTube channel, huh? Make sure I turn my volume all the way off.
Oh. Well.
So, good sir.
Hello.
Hello,
Is that
hello.
are we live? Are we
should
officially
be, as
live?
far as I'm aware, alive at the moment. I'm not 100% certain. I'm trying to figure that out.
Okay.
Let's see. That
little cardioid guy in front of you is gonna.
Yeah. It looks like we're live.
Oh, hi.
I am. There is quite a significant delay there.
Oh, fantastic. It's nice to know that we're out there. Can they hear us? If you turn the sound on for a second, can you know that the sound is working? Oh, fantastic. Hey,
we have feedback. So we're working. We're on.
All right, let's converse.
So,
I mean,
yes.
we do this whenever we're here anyway.
We do this for our entertainment. We thought it might we do it for some other people's entertainment. We thought this.
We had enough of these conversations that were reasonably entertaining.
Yes.
That was a good idea of
we
to start
made ourselves laugh enough. It's time to make some other people laugh.
Yeah.
So as I said, and we've already been talking about this evening. I think the and I. Naughty boy Magnus.
Pardon me. Where's my booze?
Oh, here we go. Okay, mine's over here. I'm
necessary component.
I should get out from behind the microphone. So I was thinking about it. I can't remember what got me onto it, but I was just thinking about how much technology has changed my life.
Oh yeah.
And you know, as we're both about the same age, of the fact that we both would have started life with very little technology, and then have gone from there to a situation where technology is an everyday part of our lives, and not just part of, but the reason for, and well, maybe not the reason for, but a large part of why we do what we do.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly. I mean, a large part of what I do is it's certainly enhanced, and it's really the big question is what part of technology doesn't affect your life. I mean, these days.
Oh, that's yeah. I mean, there's I mean, you look at things like the Equifax hack in the US. There's so much.
Oh, Jesus!
There's
Christ.
So much technology.
We're getting into the solid stuff very early on.
We're getting deep and meaningful. Yeah, there's so much. Like, what's the quote from hackers? Your name goes through 17 systems a day. No, and I'm like, I don't even think that's. I mean, that's probably not even anywhere near it. I mean, the number of
1,700 systems before you wake up.
Yeah. The number of different systems each day that would be involved with the things that I do and I work as an IT person, so
yeah.
But all the other things outside of that, like all the stuff around Artifactory, all the stuff around the various other activities and things I do, there are so many different systems that are dealing with little bits of what is effectively my data every day.
Mm.
And it's kind of ridiculous when you think about it.
If you're talking about the basics of, I mean, if the basic question of this part 1 podcast, which is just part 1, we are just practicing, by the way, folks. This is a test.
This is very, very much.
This is a test.
Yep.
But at least we can say we are actually titled, unlike some podcasts that have been going on this long.
Yes.
Yeah, that have been going on significantly longer.
Yep.
We at least have a title, so we're ahead of the game there.
Yep. But I, as you probably get, I'm somewhat of a fan of alliteration.
Oh yeah, hello. We are salty and select. The level of salt will rise and fall depending on the red zone,
as will the surly, depending on what
Oh, what the topic is.
What
of course.
the topic is, and we might get salacious occasionally. I'm sure there are those who will find it that way.
Are you sure you're coming through there? I'm not sure you're lighting up. You might want to get that mic a little bit like
bit closer,
up into your
bit up in my grill.
Yeah.
Hang on. No, you're right. I'm not lighting up. I've done something in my settings. God damn it. Turn me up a little bit, and I'm not padded, so.
No.
All right. Maybe
it is one of these cage mics are pretty much one of those like
right in your face. Yeah, there we go.
It right up.
Okay.
There you are.
I'll get it right in my grill now. Okay,
there
so now
Yeah.
See, I'm used to my one, because my one at home, I had like hanging right out here. It picks me up perfectly. It's actually really funny. My landlord has 2 labradoodles, and the two the two labradoodles. Well, they are cute and amusing and stuff like that.
Why is it
they're
the name of the
incredibly incredibly yappy.
Oh, right.
They're what my dad would refer to as mobile alarm clocks.
Right.
And these 2 dogs bark so loudly, and you've seen the distance from the front of my house to my studio.
Okay.
Yeah. I can hear them on the microphone. Not like the microphone is that bloody sensitive.
You may need a more of a directional thing for your fellow PUBG players to not hear labradoodles.
No, they have commented once or twice that they've heard the labradoodles yapping, and which is amusing. So
yeah,
but it is fun, I mean, and they are, they're Safi and Juno. And one of them's, the older one who is very calm and collected. The other one's the younger one who is just insane. So,
God, but this special edition goes out to Safi and Juno. If you're listening, labradoodles, this one's for you.
I don't think the 2 of them will be listening somehow, but but they are amusing little things.
But okay, topic at hand. Because this is
back on track.
An incredibly broad subject. If the question is how has technology affected your life, I think really an interesting mine for us to dive into, which I think will yield some great veins of conversation, is the fact we were just discussing this before we began. Is that we're part of the transitional, like you said, the transitional generation.
So
we started out with nothing, and then you know, many of us started out on, like you said, did you say VIC-20?
VC200.
VC200, yeah.
Yep.
And I started out on a C64.
And it was a Dick Smith one. Like that's one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a Dick Smith VC.
The Dick Smith brand one?
You know, like,
dude.
Yeah, that was amusing. And it was you know, it was like a rubber membrane keypad, you know, and if you wanted to save anything off, you had to save it off to a cassette, and saving and loading things was dubious at best.
Dude,
you know,
I still have like the finger muscle memory of, you know, quote star quote comma A comma 1. It's still I think I typed that in under like 200ths of a second.
The one that always really annoys/amuses me is the number of times that I'm on Windows and I go into command prompt, and instead of typing dir I type ls, because I'm so used to typing ls from various different things that ls enter. Oh, fuck's sake.
It doesn't
dir. Okay, yeah, right, cool, that works.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does become a little bit like that of the muscle memory thing. But yeah, no, I mean that was my first major computer. You know, we had various ones after that. We had, you know, because we weren't that well off when I was young. You know, I think the next computer we had after that, I can't remember whether they had the Amstrad first or second, but we went from that to an Apple LC2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you know,
which Amstrad did you? Was it like a?
Well, so no, the Amstrad I had was a 286. It was a 286 Amstrad. Yeah. And it had, I cannot remember the name of it, and I've looked into it and not been able to find it or anything like that. But it had this very early mouse-driven GUI, which was actually really cool, and I had a lot of fun. But the thing is that, like, you know, the GUI, I remember trying to like add icons to the GUI, and it was never easy to add an icon for something to the GUI. So I just ended up figuring it, and I basically taught myself how to do do DOS commands and like how to navigate it. And I remember like navigating around one day and then realizing that. I think it had like a 40 meg hard drive in it, and I'm navigating around, and I realized that someone had, because we got the computer secondhand, someone had partitioned the hard drive, because I just like randomly typed decolon, and all of a sudden this other hard drive popped up, like, ugh, and I looked, and it's like full of games.
Hey! The exploration yields results, kids.
And you know, pulling up all these games, and we had all sorts of things. And there's one I remember, and again I've looked it up, can't remember the name of it, but you played like this little orange dot. This little orange like ball character, and you had to move around, and there were these like enemies that would attack you, and they're things like staplers and scissors and like nuclear symbols and stuff like this.
Wow.
And you had to collect these like energy pellet things.
If anybody knows what that is, you can send it into the chat and let us know if you recognize the game.
I'm probably describing about 20 games like that, because there were a lot of games.
Well, yeah. That would use like standard icons for Well, that was the same like when you would program like, you know, BASIC. Like when you were making BASIC games, everything just had like standard iconography. And there was always that. If anyone ever programmed BASIC, you would always get that. Hot air balloon, like you would always program these.
Because it was a character. It was a character that you could actually.
You could just use the hot air balloon as it's like a pixel, and would well, you know, a sprite, and would, you know, depending on how you program it. There were so many of these like early programming things that would just be get your stupid balloon to bounce around the screen like a DVD screensaver, you know.
So actually, one that brought this on the other day was. I looked at something the other day, and they were talking about the game Arkanoid, and that was one of the games that was on that machine. We had Arkanoid.
Oh, dude.
And we actually had a mouse, so I could play Arkanoid with a mouse. And Arkanoid with a mouse is actually really easy.
Oh yeah.
And I went down to this little cafe down the road from work the other day, and they have one of those like 60-in-1 arcade machines. And so I'm sitting there eating my lunch, and they had Arkanoid on it. And I tried to play Arkanoid
with the joystick.
Fuck me, it's
yeah, man. That's like you've got to get like split second. You know, you've got like 1 frame to make a decision.
Yeah, so it's 50,000 points to get a high score on the to get onto the high scoreboard. Yeah. I think the highest I got in the entire session was like 8.
8,000.
I'm just like it's going to take me a few days at least of playing to get back to.
Well, I remember like that was. I mean, that's the difference between. And we're getting way off topic here, but you know, you're having the wheel controller for the Atari, like, you know, when you had the Atari, you play games like Warlords or Brick Out, you know, stuff like that. And once you got one of those wheel controllers, dude, this is a whole new world. This is amazing.
Well, you know, like I still remember playing original Wolfenstein 3D.
Oh yeah,
with just keyboard. Like up, down, left, right, and I think it was just up, down, left, right, and spacebar. I don't think there was anything else you needed to play it. Spacebar was shoot, and then it was just, And I remember going back and playing that a while ago and looking at it, and like compared to what I was playing this morning with PUBG, I actually found it hard to play because I'm so used to like being able to use a mouse to look around and stuff like that.
This has happened to me. Like this happened very like when I was I like a whole bunch of my friends, when Doom was out, and we would have like Doom like coax lands and stuff like that, and when Quake came out, and I was an early adopter. Quake was like Quake still is my number one forever. Quake 1, just I used to
I'm Quake 3. Quake 3 is probably one of the games I've played the most, especially in terms of FPS, and probably one of the games I've played the most. But Quake 1 is fun, and I have played a lot. Yeah. I don't think I know. But
this is what I'm talking about. Is like mouse look, like because Quake 1 when it out of the box, it wasn't mouse look. Wasn't enabled. You actually had to go into the console, type plus M look to actually have your. And I remember like there were guys, friends of mine, and some guys who have gone on to become like they're pro gamers now, right? Who I had to convince back in the day. I'd say, dude, M look is the way to go. Just trust me. This is gonna feel weird because these are like Doom players, guys who played Doom for I'd say, trust me, this is gonna feel weird. But this is the future. And I would just go on the console, type plus M look, and some of them were really resistant at the time. And I go, just look, trust me, man. This is are you inverted? Do you play inverted?
No, I don't actually. I play normal. But the interesting one is that if I'm playing a game, something like Battlefield or something like that, where you've got aircraft, I fly inverted.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're always whenever it's flight, it's always pull back.
Because one of the games that one of the games that was on that 286 was Chuck Yeager's Air Combat.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, and
I had like there was a C64 old cartridge version of that. Like the F-16 Tomcat. One. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Chuck Yeager's Air Combat because I remember and that was probably one of the games that really got me interested in military aircraft as well because the game wasn't just the game; it also had a lot of stuff about the aircraft. And facts and figures and blah 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 blah.
You'll be crashing into World Trade Centers before you know it.
That was because one of my favorite aircraft is and still remains to be the F-4E Phantom.
Oh yeah,
because
tell me all about that.
Oh,
this is one of the great things about turning up at the Artifactory, folks, is that if you just come in with an open mind and go, I don't know what that is, please tell me about it, you will hear some of the most interesting shit in the universe. So please go on.
The F-4E Phantom, I think was late 60s when it first came around. It was used in Vietnam because it was part of the Vietnam War. I think it came in late in the Vietnam War from memory because the Vietnam War ended in 74 or 75.
And it's a jet fighter plane?
Yeah, so the way Chuck Yeager himself described it is one of the best planes ever made, wrapped around two of the most powerful engines made at the time. Because the thing, like, it was one of the first aircraft that could reliably break the sound barrier, like in a straight line.
Yeah. Did it take off from carriers?
Yeah, it was. Pretty sure it was carrier based as well.
Did it use a JATO? Did it use a JATO for?
I don't know whether it was.
I just love JATOs.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Just to go completely off topic here. Yeah. Have you ever seen the rocket assisted landing?
No. What's that?
So there was a crazy plan where they had C-130s where they basically put JATOs on them pointing forward.
Yeah. So they would slow down so that, this was, didn't they do this in like World War II when they were like...
I don't know about World War II, because this was specifically a C-130 that they did this with.
Okay.
Because it was the idea was to be able to land on a very short runway with a C-130. Because while they can do a short takeoff with a JATO, they still need a 1,500 yard long runway to land. Yeah. Because they're a big plane.
So you basically
they had these JATOs with like little flaps that would pop out from the side, pointing forwards, so that the thing could come and
fire retros.
Yeah, basically, there's this great bit of footage of like there's C-130 coming in, and he's like, because they had, I think there was for some reason they had to fire them while they were still in the air. They couldn't fire them when they're on the ground.
Because they would be like pointing into the aircraft, like carrier, I assume.
No. It was like, so this was landing on a runway on the ground.
Oh wow!
So, because they never got to the point of doing it on an aircraft carrier. I think that might have been one of the reasons they were considering it actually.
Yeah.
So they put these crazy, rockets on the side of this plane, pointing forwards in these little fold-out pods. And the idea was that the plane would come down to within a few feet of the ground, and then fire these things to slow down from flight speed to landing speed.
That's got to be some incredible tension on the wings.
Yeah, and serious G-forces on the pilots and stuff like that. Because rather than being thrown back into your chair, you're going to get thrown forward. But yeah, they had an accident with these things where the pilot was too high when he fired them, and so
wow,
and that's when they kind of decided it was a bad idea, apparently.
Yeah.
So yeah. Chuck Yeager's was one of the ones, and there were all sorts of games on there that got me really interested. But the thing for me has always been, and still is, that I was always more interested in the hardware than the software. Because to me, there's the saying, a CPU is just a chunk of silicon that we made think.
Right. Yeah.
Which is ever so slightly reductive, but anyway.
Hey, look, I've often been called a reductivist, but that's a topic for another time.
Get a reserved comment there.
Yeah.
You have this thing that it's basically a collection of switches. That we can do amazing things, and the processor that was in that 286 ran at I think probably 16 megahertz or something like that. And it's 286, so it's 16-bit, I think. And you carry around something that's thousands of times more powerful in your pocket now.
Everybody's got them. The interconnectivity of them is beyond, basically beyond a regular comprehension.
It boggles the mind of I talk to people. I mean, not right now, but God knows how many people around the world are doing things on the internet, and it's. But
that's really the transition. This is what I'm talking about. Like, we're part of that, unique span in history, being the age that we are. That we're. I mean, I don't know about you, but when the internet first came out, and it was just that glorious time when only some of us really knew what was going on, and there was IRC, and
I'm still on IRC.
Dude.
Yeah.
Shout outs to all those guys still trading wares on IRC. Whoever's still
I may or may not have partaken. Well, actually, so this leads to a funny one of so I can touch type pretty damn well now. I'm 60 words.
You could probably blame IRC for that.
No, quite literally. Yeah. The only reason I can touch type is from IRC, but not IRC in general. From playing a trivia bot on IRC. I tried to learn touch typing at school, we had Mavis Beacon and stuff like that. One of the schools I went to was Turner State High down in Tassie, and there was, it was a lighthouse school, and we had, for the time, great computers. And we had, in 1995, we had a 2 megabit internet connection.
Wow!
Yeah,
you were one of those T1s back in the day?
Something like that. Don't know the details. I just remember asking one of the teachers, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, it's 2 megabit." At the time I was like, "What?" Yeah. But there are places now that struggle to get 2 megabit, and we had it in 1995.
Yeah.
So that was.
I remember that back playing Quake on One Tree. Back at One Tree servers, man. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember.
You would have been out of the state. WA had One Tree was this the ISP.
Okay.
And everyone's using a 256.
Yeah. Well, for a while I was living when in ADSL got introduced.
28.8 even. So
when ADSL got introduced, I was living down in Tassie, and we were on Netscape. Not Netscape. Netspace. ISP. And they had this thing where traffic between customers on Netspace was free.
Oh yeah.
So there was a lot of peer-to-peer
everything on the what was the
WAIX?
Yeah, the WAIX network.
Yeah. Well, see, WA's had that for. There was nothing really like that on the East Coast until Pipe.
Okay.
Pipe Networks, I think, who eventually bought out WAIX. But Tassie was its own little microcosm.
Yeah, right. And you got some weirdos there. You got some, some special geniuses.
Yeah. Shout outs to my man, Dancing Man, Anthony.
Hey, good on you, Anthony. Is Anthony from Slobart or Inceston?
No, he was slow butt.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. That was a bit of a sad situation.
Oh.
But, yeah, indeed. But yeah, so we had that little peer-to-peer thing. But the one I always remember about, we did. I mean, I was at a lighthouse school with computers and stuff like that, and we did typing as a thing. And I remember trying to play Mavis Speak, and I could never get the hang of it. It didn't really interest me that much. But I have this thing of if I'm reading something, reading it, trying to type it, I'm not fast.
Right.
And it's the same if I'm reading it and trying to write
Quick brown fox, blah blah blah.
Yeah. But if I'm doing something from memory, I can do it really, really quickly.
Oh, okay.
So if I'm trying to copy something, I will memorize a chunk of it, type it, memorize a chunk of it, type it, do stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, so doing things like Mavis Speaking, because I hadn't figured that out at the time, just didn't work for me. I wasn't fast enough to actually improve, and I probably didn't do it enough either.
For those who don't know what Mavis Beacon is, can you...
So Mavis Beacon was a typing tutor. It still exists.
Oh, really? People still use Mavis Beacon?
It still exists.
Every time you mention it, it's come up in conversation. Every time you mention it, my brain switches it with Carmen Sandiego.
Hey, I have an esoteric one for you. I had Carmen Sandiego on the Master System.
What? Really? I didn't know it was on the Master System.
Yeah, I've talked to people who swear black and blue that it doesn't exist. It existed, and I had it. I had Carmen. Where in the world is Carmen?
Do you still have it?
No, I fuck knows where it is now.
God damn it.
Yeah, but I had. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
By the way, if anyone is looking for old Master System, go check my Facebook. More ancient arcade things for sale coming up soon. I don't have Carmen Sandiego for the Master System, but yeah,
I think that's probably quite a rare one. But
yeah,
with the learning to type, there was a Wares channel I hung out in on.
Yeah, sure.
On IRC. I think it was on either Dalnet or FNet, one of the two. And there was this trivia bot in there, and I'm
in the channel.
Oh, okay, I'm good at the general trivia. And I remember starting to play this thing, and this trivia bot would ask a question, and then you would have 20 seconds to answer, and if you answered in the first 20 seconds, you got 4 points, and then it would give it it would fill in part of the answer. You answered it, then you got 2 points, and then it would fill in a bit more, and you answer it, then you get 1 point.
Did you eventually get op privileges if you get enough points?
No,
something like that.
Not. It was 600 people in the channel. It wasn't quite.
Oh, okay.
But the fun one was so you would be playing this trivia bot, and you'd be trying to answer, you'd be trying to beat people, and so you'd get stuff like people would put in the answer, but they'd spell it slightly incorrectly, and so then it becomes a typing race of seeing who could beat them, and I got reasonably good at doing that. But I this weird stuff of because I've always read a lot and I have a good memory. I would read a question and the answer would pop into my head. I have no clue where I knew it from.
Right.
But then it just becomes a question of typing it fast enough. And so I got faster and faster and faster at typing. Over a few months of playing this. In my spare time, until eventually one weekend I remember sitting down to play it, and the bot had just reset. Now it reset if someone got 5,000 points. So you had to answer at least 1,250 questions to get 5,000 points.
Right.
I reset the bot in 22 hours.
And I was is that one sitting?
One sitting.
You goddamn internet maniac. One sitting.
One sitting. I'm just and I just it's just it was, I think it was the middle of winter in Hobart. So it's freezing cold, didn't move away from the computer.
You just,
the whole, apart from eating and going to the bathroom the whole day and just,
break for bio.
Yeah. And by the end of the day, I'd beaten the bot and I'm just okay, cool. I could probably stop playing this bot now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Shout outs to any DayZ players, old school DayZ players who know what break for bio, who use that in their regular chat.
That's one I'm going to have to add to my vocab.
Yeah, that's we always, because DayZ, you'll be playing 6-hour sessions and it'd be tense as hell. And if anyone goes it's not, you can't AFK in that game.
No,
So yeah, it would go break for bio. Oh great, now everyone's got to fucking
gag me.
Yep.
What was the game I used to play with? Oh, Eve. Eve was.
Eve.
Getting ganked in Eve was always just.
Dude, those Eve players are
a little obsessive.
And
that's.
God bless them though. I mean, really. Okay,
so this ties into an interesting one with this of talking about games and stuff like that is, you look at the people who play games now, and there is as many 20, 30, 40-year-olds playing games as there is people under that age.
Oh yeah.
And so this ties into something else I was watching the other day of with loot boxes in games. The whole Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, the EA thing.
So there's
that's why I'm feeling sick. The loot boxes give me like a visceral like gut reaction.
Yeah. Well, so there's this senator in Hawaii who's been talking about banning loot boxes. Right.
Yeah.
But there's a really interesting like extra credits. We're talking about this on YouTube, and there's a really interesting one there of like, how do you define a loot box?
Well, see, there you go. This is the thing. Like, it goes back. The one that really started this off for me. If you really want to get back to like the basics of where this all began, is World of Warcraft. Right. World of Warcraft for me was one of those ones where I first started really losing friends, and I really got the impression like this is a carefully created like dopamine feedback
it's a Skinner
loop.
box, yeah.
You mentioned that earlier. It is totally a Skinner box.
Yeah.
For those who aren't familiar with B.F. Skinner, the incredible like animal behaviorist, one of my favorite scientists ever.
Who's simultaneously very famous and also very infamous.
Yeah. I think unjustly infamous.
Look, there is some justice to the infamy, but the thing is that the things we have learned, we wouldn't have learned without him.
Yeah.
So
there's certainly shit you would not get away with today. Inventor of the pigeon bomb. Go Google that one. Yeah.
That was
Skinner.
Yeah. So who was the other one I was thinking of? The crazy World War II bomb designer.
We were talking about this, the bat bomb and the pigeon bomb.
No, the guy who did the bouncing bomb.
Oh, the bouncing Betty?
No, not the bouncing Betty. The one that skips on water.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh, okay, all right. I'll leave that for another.
We could do a whole episode on like because we have talked about that weird military like
crazy adventures,
just like mad scientist military stuff.
Yeah.
Many involving animals, some of them just involving like bizarre physics.
Yeah.
But so yeah, talking about World of Warcraft and that was the first time that it really the idea had entered my head because I've been a B.F. Skinner fan, for a long time. Like I did, like evolutionary psychology is one of my big, I used to be, I studied anthropology and I did, B.F. Skinner was a big one, behavioral science, things like that. Stuff that these days will get you in a lot of trouble, even just talking about.
Yep.
People go, people are, they have, biological impulses. How dare you? How dare you biological reductivist? Like, okay, Jesus Christ, okay.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I love B.F. Skinner. And the other guy, one that we really need to talk to another time is the mouse utopia experiments. If you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That stuff is, if B.F. Skinner scares you, then the mouse utopia experiments will absolutely chill you to your goddamn core.
I'm trying to think. It wasn't Skinner who did it, but there was the one with the baby monkeys, where they basically they
separated them.
And just put them in a steel cage.
To see what sort of reactions they would have when given you like an electrified mother doll. For negative reinforcement. Yeah, just some like cruelty, insane cruelty. But the stuff. Look, I've said it before, and I'll say it again without feeling the least bit bad of it. I would poke a baboon in the eye with a stick from now until the end of time if I thought it could cure childhood cancer. I don't care. Monkeys, I would stab a monkey in the face right now if it would cure childhood cancer or the cystic fibrosis. I don't care.
Yeah,
Fuck the monkeys.
Look, it's.
We're getting so far off topic, and I'm going to get in big trouble. That's going to wind up on a soundbite somewhere.
Yep.
God damn it.
Yeah. Look,
I've got to keep myself in check.
So to go back, because we were talking about this earlier, the Skinner box thing.
Right.
And this is the flip side of it. That there is so much stuff these days that is a Skinner box.
Yeah, it's still gambling, but it's the like the very essence of gambling. It's that the what if. It's fucking Abrams mystery box, right?
Yeah.
It's just the what will it be? What will it be? And the fact that there's like online digital unboxing videos. People go, will I get this amazing knife for CSGO?
Yep.
And people watch.
Yeah.
It's a spectator sport.
Mm-hmm.
It's that they've basically hacked this human impulse to know what's going to happen.
That's what it is and that's the essence of a Skinner box, is that it's there to give you a feedback loop of pleasure. And these things, like smartphone is one of them. Like even the YouTube algorithm is another one. It's there to try and keep you hooked, and it keeps you hooked by either by feeding emotions. Now, whether it feeds a good emotion or a bad emotion is another thing, but by feeding those emotions, just in a circular loop again and again and again and again and again is how they keep you engaged. And this is why it's there is some level of danger to it.
For children, definitely. I mean, for adults, definitely, but for children, even more so. Well, the developmental mind. I mean,
it does come back to self-control, and
precisely. Yeah,
children don't have a lot of self-control. That is a given. That's why we don't trust them with a lot of things that require self-control. We don't trust them with alcohol. We don't trust them with cigarettes. We don't trust them with all sorts of things that require self-control. And it's nowhere near as dangerous as those things. There is a danger to it, and
certainly,
and that is something that we need to be aware of. And I think we're sort of the last generation where, because we didn't get it until later in life, we already had some measure of self-control, and so.
Well, there was also culturally, I think this is, I mean, it's a small point to add, but culturally, during that time, there was while we were growing up, let's say teenage, early 20 years, the distrust of corporate agendas was huge. It was a big, there was a lot of it was alternative music, it was alternative this, it was just a general kind of zeitgeist of corporate distrust, which I think is something that added up, especially IRC guys. There's a lot of people there who are like, we're apart from all of that crap. We're not controlled. We're the opposite of being controlled.
And I think there is still a feeling. I mean, especially because IRC is so independent of any,
precisely.
It's not run by a single company. It is an independent thing. I mean, you do have networks like Freenode and FNet and Dalnet and all of those who are big networks and stuff like that. But these are big networks that exist solely of and for themselves.
Yeah.
So there is still some of that element to it. I think in some ways you are right. There is probably less distrust of the corporate, big dogs now. But in other ways, I'd say there's probably somewhat more because people.
It seems a lot more nebulous now. People don't really have an enemy to point at. They kind of feel this. Perhaps this is pure projection, but it feels to me like these days people have this feeling like there are forces at work trying to affect me, but I don't really know where to point the finger. I can't really say these guys are bad or these guys are bad. There's just this general kind of effectivity, uneasy agenda, pointing at people.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, people are like, "Woo! My Instagram's blowing up." Going like not seeing the connection there.
Yeah. And like there's, I mean, it's interesting. I simultaneously trust and distrust Google because I trust them a lot with the security of my life and things like that. Because, I mean, I mentioned this on the RTR show I did last weekend of, everything sort of in my life somewhat revolves around my Gmail account. If my Gmail account were to get broken, then that would make my life very difficult for a while.
Yeah.
But at the same token,
it's only because of that calendar that I knew to be here today.
Yeah. But at the same token, I also know that, when I do a search these days, like the search results I'm getting are not necessarily, the best search results.
That's a really tricky one.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of that recent. Pardon me, I'm just medicating myself here. Seeing that like different search results show up for different people based on their previous histories and that, and their like geolocation, you can spoof your geo and get different results for the same search. You can try that for yourself in 10 minutes and it's kind of scary, right?
It does make life interesting. So I think the biggest one that for and I see a lot of this is people say that we are, because of things like Facebook, we are less social. But I in some ways I would argue that it's not. Because, we might do more interaction via Facebook and less interaction in person.
Mm-hmm.
I think the flip side of that is that Facebook also can somewhat lead to more interaction in person because you will get a lot more invites to events and things like that. Because people, when they invite to events on Facebook, tend to invite a lot of people, rather than just the people they know. Yeah, sure. I would argue that a lot of those interactions are significantly less meaningful, which is interactions via Facebook are definitely less meaningful. I will not argue that point. I myself personally don't use Facebook for interacting a lot. I'm trying to wean myself off currently. Yeah. I'd much rather organise something like this and come and sit down with someone. Absolutely. Or come down here and come down to Iron Factory where we are and talk to people and do that sort of. But in terms of organising the event where that happens, I think that things like Facebook do make that a lot easier. Yeah. And that's true. There's a lot of. This is an idea that's been spoken about ad infinitum, but the idea that the internet and social media especially has been able to bring previously isolated, weird little disparate groups with similar interests and congeal them together. There's a great group, the Perth Nerd Herd. Yeah. Guys like that, and a lot of them, there's an offshoot to that, which is the Perth Nerd Herd, like mental health group. Yeah. So you've got like a lot of people that are isolated. Maybe some of them have, anxieties or social anxieties or even, agoraphobia. Yep. Who would be, cut off, locked in syndrome, basically, social locked in syndrome, and without this, these avenues of interaction, which, undeniably, that's a great thing. No one's going to say that's a bad thing, but there's a lot of, I don't know, it's a really scary thing. Yeah, I do worry a lot. Coming from the biological micro expression, there's a lot of very, very, human interaction has a lot of really weird, nuanced stuff that people just don't understand or appreciate or know the effects of even. And you can turn a regular functional person into an absolute monster very easily by telling them that this sort of interaction is the same as this sort of interaction. Yeah. When it really isn't. But it's these the numbers are out there. It's not very comfortable reading, but there are certainly troubles with it. But I'm not going to say the internet's a bad thing. Are you kidding? No, and it's like this is something that I keep coming back to in so many things these days is I think the internet in some ways is partly at fault for this. Is we expect everything to happen so quickly. And there are some things that no matter what you do, they will take time. Like the old things of like packages arriving. I am sorry. Sorry to call this in such a menial, weird little thing, but I order a package and then when it doesn't show up the next day, I'm like, oh God, what the hell? Well, look, but like one of the ones that I like societal changes is something that people are, now expecting societal changes and stuff like that to happen. Oh, yeah. So, but even if like people are like, oh, well, look at how fast the internet had an impact, and I'm like, but it's not really that fast. It's been, like I said, I first used the internet in 1995. It's now 2018. That's 23 years. And it's taken 23 years to get from the very basic internet to where we are now. Yeah. Sure, if you look at any one small microcosm of that development, like you look at like things like ride sharing and stuff like that, ride sharing has exploded. Sure. Sure. But the thing is that thing only happened because of all the other underlying things. So you can't just take one small thing and go, we need to change this now. Yeah. And not realize that all the other things around it need to be changed. When it comes to social policy and in general social interactions, absolutely, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. People can get together and on the internet they can hash out an idea, passionately and politically, and come to some sort of agreement and go, we all agree this is clearly the way to go. Yeah. Let's
legislated into existence.
Yes.
And then it all goes to shit because you can't just wish something into existence. Yeah, that's a whole other, like, that's a massive barrel of fish that we're going to have to, unravel.
Well, a really good case of this is I mean, and this is one of my favorite topics to read about is the NBN. People look at the NBN, and I remember like they're talking about, but the NBN's going to take so long to build. They're talking about starting building in 2013. It was going to be finished in 2021. And I'm like, do you realize, like, they're talking 7.3 million households in 8 years?
Right.
So that's 1 million houses a year. That's I'm trying to do the math in my head. That's what, 30,000 a day. Like, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Like, that means, if it takes one person per house, that means you've got to have 30,000 people working continuously.
Fiber to the home.
Yeah.
Fiber to the home.
Yeah. Don't get me started on that whole mess. And no, wireless is not a replacement. I don't care what you say. You can argue that point black and blue, and I will slap you down in every way possible.
He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'll link this.
You get him started on this one.
No, please don't. I've talked about that one enough recently. I've through work and stuff like that, I've dealt with high-speed wireless connections. They're not high speed, and they always, there's always an upside and a downside to them, and it's not worth the effort. So
this is why gamers still have a Cat 5 sticking out the back of their box.
Yeah, I mean, it's why I went and spent $170 on a pair of Ethernet over power adapters so that I can run a cable from my landlord's house into my house for my internet rather than trying to do it over wireless. Because God, that was painful.
Yeah.
And why my house kind of looks a bit like a spaghetti junction because there's just Cat 5 running everywhere.
I still miss it. I used to live in a spaghetti junction share. Like I said, we used to do like coax networks.
Yeah.
We'd be hunting around. You'd go try and add someone to the network and go looking for terminators. God, has anyone got a goddamn terminator?
One of my first jobs was working on token ring networks.
You have a pocket full of
fun. No, token rings a whole other beast. No terminators, but just pain. MAUs. I will never forget MAUs.
What's that?
Multiple. It's basically the token ring equivalent of a switch, to basically describe it, token ring is a network we have now is what we call star topology. So you have a central hub and everything's a spoke coming off that.
Yeah.
Token ring, everything is quite literally in a ring. So the output of computer A goes to B, and the output of computer B goes back to A. All right.
Okay.
And then there's a token, quite literally a special token that gets handed around the network, and only the computer with the token talks.
Oh, okay. So everything has to talk to everything until it gets to the token holder.
Well, no. So the token basically means I'm going to transmit now.
Oh, okay.
All right. So a computer will grab the token, transmit, and then pass the token to the next computer.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, the funny thing is, it's still used in certain circumstances, but very, very rarely.
I suppose the security is pretty good.
Not really.
No.
Yeah, and it's not fast. Oh. I mean, okay, it's now used on some very.
I'm trying to cut some breaks, but
yeah,
no.
This is kind of before because I think Token Ring was before TCP/IP.
Okay.
So it didn't really handle conflicts and stuff like that. But yeah, so you can end up in a situation where like if you took a computer off the network while it had the token disappears from the network. Yeah.
So it's like the conch shell. Whoever's got the conch shell gets to talk.
Yeah.
And if the guy with the conch shell leaves the conversation, nobody can talk.
Everybody goes mute.
What a great protocol. Wow, that's great.
So the MAU is the equivalent of a switch, but basically what would happen is you turn on a whole bunch of computers on a token ring network, and because none of them had the token, they wouldn't start talking. And so what you would do is you would go and turn the MAU off, which would disconnect them all from the network at the same time, turn them all back on at the same time, and then they'd all see each other at the same time, and like magically a token would generate, or somehow in the
wow.
But yeah, so I distinctly remember, like having
that sounds
plug all these computers
a
back,
massive ball ache.
Plug all these computers back in, realize they had no network. Trump all the way back into the data center, and there'd be, rack full of MAUs. And you'd reach up to the particular one for that row, and chunk. Wait 10 seconds, chunk. And lo and behold, the network would come up. And it was so messy. So
God damn.
Yeah, I don't miss Token Ring at all.
Wow.
So yeah, but yeah, I give me Cat 5 any day. I much prefer Cat 5 to wireless. So,
well, yeah, I mean, You got noobs to pwn, right?
Yeah, indeed. All right. On that note, I think we'll call it a night.
Oh, well, we certainly hashed through that topic.
We did. We wandered all over the freaking place, but I think that's going to be the case with us.
Yeah, well,
neither of us are very, very well known for sticking to topic. But
yeah, that's true.
That's what makes it interesting.
That's true.
So,
this is why these conversations are so great. I'm so glad that we did this. This is wonderful.
Yep.
We will be doing more of these as the evenings progress on into the futures of our lives.
Yeah, probably at this stage, I'd say every fortnight. Next weekend we have the LAN, and I'm sure as hell not doing one of these after a LAN. We could do one during the LAN, but no. So
we should just live stream the LAN, and actually no, because people are going to say some shit that will wind up in court. If we live stream,
if you want salty, come to a LAN. You'll hear a lot
the
of
salty part, most certainly.
There's much salt flying through the air.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
sodium overload.
So the next one of these will probably be, I think it's the 25th. But I'll have to check.
There we go, 25th. That's right, close to my birthday. Which I got to talk to you about a thing to do over here, but that's later on. That's not to do with the podcast.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This has been part 0.1, the testing arrangements, and
the testing of the titled stream.
Yay! Yes, suck on that, Adam Savage. We got a title.
We got a title.
We'll see you next time. Thank you very much for viewing, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, dragon kin, attack helicopters, and other.